Welcome to Gardening with Mirin. In this episode, we're going to learn how to garden tomatoes. Though I don't like them plain, they are in a plethora of most traditional and beloved dishes. I'm talking about tomatoes, of course, the rubies of fruit. Tomatoes are best grown in the Goldilocks zone of sunlight and water, and from that point off the vine, they will remain fresh through a 5-day car trip across the country. My dad's experience growing up in a farmer's market made him useful in picking out produce. It's almost a sixth sense to him. He knows who's selling the best and which state grows the best, and from many trials, he has determined Safeway tomatoes are the worst. The best I've ever had were from my grandmother's tomato garden, and they're the only ones I will eat raw. When they're sun-dried, fried, roasted, processed into a paste, or a sauce, they're even better. They become the staple of the dish while being its shiny star. So how do we achieve this glory of genuinely good tomatoes? Well, as our tastes are subjective, the best way to determine it yourself is to try and garden them. At least that's my opinion. Step 1. Dirt. The best type of dirt you can use for planting your tomatoes are sandy, dirty soils with a lower composition of clay. You can make this soil by starting your own composting ditch in your backyard, but if you don't have the space, that's all right. I recommend getting potting soil for all types of potted plants from your closest home improvement retailer. Step 2. Lay the eggs. I guess I should say that you need the tomato seeds. Pick out your favorite seeds. I recommend experimenting with different brands and start them in little plant starters. You can buy these plant starters at the store, or you can use eggshells. Put a little bit of soil into the eggshells, plant your seeds, and put them back in the carton, dirt side up. With your plant starters made, mist them delicately every day and be sure to keep the soil continuously moist. Do this until you see a strong tomato sprout. Step 3. A bigger fish. Once you have some strong sprouts, I recommend either of these options. 1. Plant them into bigger starter pots. 2. Plant them right into your tilled garden, if you're more experienced, that is. 3. Plant them into your final large pot, and this is if you don't have any starter pots and if you have limited space where you live. Whatever you do, you must know these about tomatoes. They love the sun, and they require 6 to 8 hours of it, so put them outside or in a lighted greenhouse, especially if you live in Fairbanks. The sun is what kickstarts that sugar production in this delicious fruit. They need water. The soil should be moist, but not flooded. Flooding them can not only ruin the flavor, but it can kill them, and all your hard work would be lost. Step 4. Wait. Patience is key. Take care of your plants and make sure they get the love they need. You can put in better fertilizers to help them grow, tomato cages around them to keep them upright and strong, but most importantly, as a first-timer, keep them alive. You will start to see the fruit come in with a green color, but you must wait until they turn into that ruby red hue. Step 5. Harvest. If you have a red, shiny, bulbous, ripe to your liking, hearty tomato on your plant, then you've made it. You can pick it off the stalk. You can shear them off with produce scissors. Wash all the dirt off your harvest and cut it in half, just to be sure there aren't any bugs in the middle. Step 5. Harvest. If you have a red, shiny, bulbous, ripe to your liking, hearty tomato on your plant, then you've made it. You can pick it off the stalk, or you can shear them off with produce scissors. Wash all the dirt off your harvest and cut it in half, just to be sure there aren't any bugs in the middle. Take a bite, or cook it. Whatever is your vibe. If it tastes like the best tomato you've had to date, congratulations. Your first harvest achieved the impossible. Cultivate that plant, harvest and grow its seeds. Enjoy, hopefully, years of good tomatoes. But if it tastes mediocre, or even just plain bad, Don't worry. This is the most common result. If you enjoyed the journey, and you've realized you really enjoy gardening, you can try again and shake things up at different steps. Perhaps changing the soil composition, introducing some compost, different types of fertilizer, different types of seeds, etc. But just remember this: gardening is a science, but not just one science, really a culmination of sciences, like biology, genetics, agricultural science, pedology, etc. So it's not easy, especially when it takes so much work and patience. But it is rewarding to harvest, cook, and eat something you grew, and it puts into perspective how much work it takes to grow these crops and harvest them for millions to enjoy. Self-garden vegetables are also wonderful gifts you can share with family and friends. Make a zucchini bread, pizza, ratatouille, and more. But mainly, just do it to try for yourself. It may be therapeutic or open up a new hobby for you. This has been Gardening with Mirin, brought to you by Bonk Recordings. Just remember, though it's cold out there and the snow may be piling up, you can always garden your own paradise.